everybody, my name is Trey. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to review Fantastic Four First Steps, which came out this week. I'm coming to you from San Diego Comic-Con, my first San Diego Comic-Con. Look out for some videos for that later this week as I edit those. But wanted to release a review video of Fantastic Four First Steps. Got a chance to see it this week down here in San Diego in IMAX, the fan event that was going on at the Plaza Bonita. And this movie was, I'm just going to say it, fantastic. I wrote a video the other day about what I was hoping that this movie was going to accomplish, some of the things that I was wanting for it to do, some things that it needs to nail. And I'm really happy to say that it nailed all of those things. It nailed so much of those things, so much more that I could have ever wanted from this movie. Specifically first with Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards. There was many a time in the film when he was nailing this character, where he was really portraying the obsessiveness of him, of trying to solve this problem to beat Galactus, of obsessing over, is he going to be the best father, of trying to lead the team in the best way that he can. And so I was really, impressed by what Pedro brought to the role. And yeah, I thought he made a great Reed Richards, and it was really exciting to see him in this role and do so well. And one that I'm excited to see him continue in Avengers Doomsday. I was really bought in to his portrayal of the character. Halfway through is when I was really like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. I'm vibing with this. And I think he just did a great job. And I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table as we see more of this character in the future. I also have to say that Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm was the standout of this movie. She was the GOAT. She was so great. She commanded every scene that she was in. Real leadership, real passion, real, driven by family. It was a scene in particular about halfway through the film when we learn that Galactus wants Franklin, and that he is wanting him, and if the Fantastic Four give him up, that they'll be willing to, he would be willing to bypass their planet for consuming it. And they refuse, and the public finds out because they tell them, and they're upset, and it's a real interesting conversation about it. But she goes out there in front of the Baxter Building and gives this really great speech about family, and she just owned it. She delivered that so good. She did a great job, even using her power set abilities at the end of the movie too, and pushing Galactus into the black hole. She was just phenomenal. Really blew me away. I was really impressed with her. I can see why they casted her in this role, because she just nailed it. She nailed it. And again, I think she's going to be a phenomenal character to build off of going forward in the MCU. And just really excited to see what they can do with her going forward. I also love the dynamics between Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm. The Thing, Evan Moss-Backrack, and Joseph Quinn were so good in those roles. The banter. What I really liked about this portrayal that the difference that we've seen in other portrayals is I feel like in the other movies that it was more of like mocking Ben, it was more teasing Ben from Johnny, and not so much of that brotherhood ride or die sort of thing that this movie included. And it was so good to see that just as much mocking and teasing moments, there was so much more encouraging and uplifting and having each other back moments between those two characters. And it was really good. It was just so good to see. I think Joseph Quinn, he was the perfect Johnny Storm in the portrayal. And also we got to see him use his brain too and have more of an edge in that regard too, whereas he's not just a ladies' man. He's a smart, talented person. He's really good to see them use that in this movie. Evan Moss-Backrack is the Thing. He brought so much life to that character, kind of, with that relationship that he had with, I believe her name was Rachel, on Natasha Lyonne's character, and kind of like slowly progressing through that and kind of approaching her and, kind of working through still, who he is now that he's the Thing. It was really, really good. And I thought that Evan Moss-Backrack did just a really great job. I think this movie is really smart in having it be 4 years as the Fantastic Four, and it was like Superman in that way too, where it's already an established universe. These characters have been around for a while. The public loves them, and you can see, just how much they appreciate that they do for them. I think it was a really cool intro at the beginning of the movie, doing that montage of them getting started, coming back from Earth, having their powers, getting started as heroes, fighting Mole Man, amongst other characters. I think it was really smart for them to do that. We got to see the OG Kirby suits in a quick flashby scene, which was a really, really sweet. But it was just a really cool entrance to the movie, introducing who these characters are in this already established universe. And so it was really smart for them to do that, and I really appreciated it. We need to talk about Galactus as well. He was finally the menacing, terrifying Galactus that we've wanted and needed for so long. Ralph Ineson did a fantastic job. The voice was so menacing. The scale was so large. See in IMAX if you get the chance, because it was incredible, the scale of him in IMAX. But it was great to have a character like that portrayed in the right way. We've been wanting this for so long. I said in my video, the only portrayal we got was kind of a cloud form that just was kind of weird in the original Fantastic Four movie. So it was really good to finally get the Galactus that we deserve. And one that I think is going to hang around at the end of this movie. He's not killed off, obviously, which was good. He was pushed into a black hole. And so he's out there still. And so I think it's really smart that they did that, because, hey, they can come visit this character down the road. And I think it's worthy of that, because I think there's a lot of stories they can tell with Galactus going forward. And so I'm excited to see what that may look like in the future with him still being out there. But it was just so good to finally get this character on screen in the right way. I feel so happy about it. I also want to give a shout out to Julia Garner-Chalabal. Like, she brought a lot to that character. I wasn't expecting to root for her. She brought a lot of emotion to that character. It was really good. I think they could have teased that out a little bit more even. But for what we got, I was really impressed. I was really, really impressed. And she kind of had a redemptive arc at the end of this movie. And I'm curious to see how that may have implications for her in the future if she does pop back up again. But just really cool. And I really enjoyed how she portrayed that character. I think there are some fair criticisms of the movie. I think the positives for me outweigh those critiques. I think that a fair criticism that I'm seeing a lot of is, needing more action, which I agree. I think it would have been cool to see a lot more action sequences in this movie. We got the early montage early, and then the big fight at the end. But in that middle too, there wasn't a lot of fighting scenes, and so I could see people wanting more of that. But I also appreciated the character-driven moments of it, just the character development in general, about the plot of family and protecting Franklin and just being in this character's world. So I can see why they did that. But I do agree. I think that, there could have been more action sequences. I think that was probably what they cut from this movie. They cut about 15 minutes from when it was the first tickets went on sale to the release date. And we learned that John Malkovich's role was cut as a result of that. And so I wonder if there was some heavier fight sequences with him too that were cut from this movie. But yeah, I do agree. I think that would have been nice to see. But again, I think the positives outweigh the negatives in that regard for me. But I completely understand for people who, they don't. And that's fine. I get that. I also think the ending a little bit with the attempted teasing of them saying that they were going to potentially kill off Sue Storm was a little bit unnecessary. I think in the moment I forgot, honestly, that about the chairs and her being in Doomsday. But so I thought I was like, okay, I don't think we necessarily need this, but I get it for emotional, weight. And also we get to see Franklin kind of use his abilities. And so I understand why they did that. But I think the whole time there I was like, there's no way that they're doing this. There's no way that they're killing her off. But I think it was an interesting way to introduce Franklin's powers for the first time. And I'm interested to see what they do with that character as he gets older. And it seems like, we'll talk about in a moment, that he's going to have some sort of role in Doomsday. And so I'm curious to see how they handle his abilities, how they handle his powers, and what that means for the MCU going forward. And then, yes, the mid-credit scene with the Doctor Doom. I was telling my buddy who I went and saw it with that, I expected and hoped for a Doom scene, and we got it. It was really cool. Didn't expect to flash forward like that. I think it was 4 years in the future. So Franklin would be about 4 years old now. There's been updates to the Baxter Building, obviously, after the fight with Galactus. And Franklin's a toddler now. He's young. He's a young kid. And then it was really cool seeing Doom in that capacity. Wish we got the full look, but it was a really good tease, holding the mask. And I've heard that was RDJ too on set. And so it was a really fun nod, really fun tease. And we also got some introducing theories about, who this version of Doom could be, in regards to being RDJ. Like, is it the 828 Doctor Doom? Is it a different Doctor Doom? Because if you remember in the movie, there was the open seat at the Future Foundation for Latveria. It was empty. There was nobody there. So there was no Victor Von Doom. And so could this be him? Could we have a different one that might be the main Doctor Doom in future movies? It'll be interesting to kind of theorize about that before we get to Doomsday next year and then Secret Wars after that. But nonetheless, a really fun mid-credit scene. I think easily the best one that they've done in the multiverse saga. But Fantastic Four First Steps, I believe I give it a 5 on my letterbox, but I'm thinking more leaning towards 9.5. I just really loved this, really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, the positives outweigh some of the critiques for me. It was just so good to finally have Marvel's first family on screen for the first time, done right. And so I'm just so thankful this movie exists. I can't wait to see it multiple times. I'm hoping to get another viewing in before I take off and head back home on Monday. But just really grateful this movie exists. And shout out Matt Shackman. He did a great job with the futuristic style here and in getting me to care about a different universe, right? I'm excited that the 828 still exists. I think in a lot of ways, people thought that this movie this universe was going to be demolished by Galactus. It was going to be eaten by Galactus. And so it was a welcome surprise for me that this universe still exists. It's still around. And I just love the vibes of the 828. I hope we get more of it going forward. And so I just hats off to them for getting me to care about a different timeline or different universe rather than the main 616. And so again, there's so much potential to have more stories in it. I'm excited to see what they may be doing there. If you saw Fantastic Four First Steps this weekend, let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment down below. Share me what you thought of the movie. Leave a like as well. Subscribe for more content, guys. And thanks for tuning in.